Hey everyone. So one of my old videos on how to get straight A's has really taken off, and I'm happy to say it's helped a lot of people. In this video, I want to continue that with some new tips on how to get good grades. Now, I've been getting more questions about it, and I've made more videos about it. If you haven't checked out all the videos on school and stuff like that, I have a young student playlist which you can find on my channel, and you can also just go to my channel or go to YouTube search and then search it up. Just search like straight A's Will Chow or Will Chow student, and you'll find all the videos eventually. But I want to introduce some new tips because I thought about it, and there are some things I've never really mentioned before. So first and foremost, there's this great book by Cal Newport that interviews a bunch of straight A students and then kind of crystallizes their behavior patterns, their thinking, their mindset. And that's the first thing I respond with. Usually I get some DMs on Instagram and other places just asking, hey, I need some more tips. And that's the first thing I would point to. Other than that, there's more books on the topic and other gurus or websites. One would be this guy called Thomas Frank. He runs a website called College Info Geek, which also has a massive YouTube channel with millions of subscribers. So there's all sorts of content online about this, which is such a blessing to you, because when I was growing up, I had nothing. I had nothing but my friends. You know, the internet's, you would search stuff on Google, and half the stuff that would rank was fluffy crap that wasn't even actionable tips from real people. Now you can kind of parse it and look around, and you even have books written about it with credible resources. So use them because I know your competition is not. It's still kind of a new thing to use the internet and these books to really gain that advantage. Now, there is one specific tip that I want to mention for this video, the main purpose of this video. So let's get to it. And that's a tip on adjusting your focus. You know, when I used to be very young, I would sometimes flit in and out of focus at school when the teacher was talking, because who cares, you know? You're there to kind of go to school and make friends. And at that point, when you're so young, getting good grades is somewhat secondary. You know, you're there to gain the approval of your peers and have fun and do other stuff. And so, you know, like many kids with ADHD or just kids who didn't really care much, I would kind of flit in and out. But then there were times when I started to realize, oh, my parents really care about my grades. And so all of a sudden I'd perk up and I would, you know, give these answers. And it was this constant, sometimes it was a constant battle, because you had your peers who didn't care about this, or some of them who didn't. And then you didn't want to play it off like you were this know-it-all. So sometimes you wouldn't try as hard. And I think you might start to know where I'm going with this. You're the average of the 5 people you hang around, so that's one part of it. So, you know, there will be groups of friends who care less and more about school. And, you know, part of, sometimes some people play the game by just hiding that from their friends, or like playing it down or being silent about it. Others, you know, they choose a new group of friends who really care about school. Some do a little bit of in between of both. All those could work, but it's something to keep in mind and be conscious of and figure out, you know, are they dragging me down, or are they lifting me up, or is this someone I can't live without, and how do I deal with that? And then, you know, sometimes you could just be proud of it. Yeah, I do care about school. I do care about my future. And they'll respect that, and maybe that'll change them a little bit. But I wouldn't count on changing others too much. You can only change yourself. Changing others is a lot more difficult. But that's not really the big thing. That's leading up to the big lesson. And that is, when I look through the progression of my life from elementary, middle, high school, college, I think one of the things that I really noticed to a high extent and doubled down on was that I look for any advantage over my other classmates. And one of the biggest ones that was most obvious to me from an early age was, whoa, a lot of them just don't care enough. And therefore their focus just drops when the teacher's talking. And so when I see that, I dive deep into it. At first, it was difficult because I wasn't the best at focusing. But when I think the feeling of it, the real energy comes from my enthusiasm and excitement when I saw that advantage. And so when I saw that advantage, I doubled down on it. And even though it was hard to focus initially, I got through it and I got better. And what ended up happening was oftentimes the teacher would say something important, whether instructions for the next assignment that day or the homework, or maybe something that they're clearly emphasizing because it's going to be on the test, and half the class misses it because they're fiddling around, playing with their pencils, they're chatting. And those are the moments where I perk up, I'm listening, I'm intent, I'm not talking, and I hear them. And each time I do that, I smile inside because I know I've just gained an advantage. And that's how I've gotten ahead. And of course, as you get to the highest levels, it's going to get different because then you're at a level where all the other classmates know the same thing or just naturally act in a way where they're listening to the teacher. There's no screwing around. And when you get to that level, then it's a different game. Okay, how else can you gain an advantage? And then, sometimes it boils down to genetics at that point because you've honed and fixed every other area of your life. It's until you get to that point, and that's a topic for another day when you're in the most advanced level classes and everyone's on point. Then you get into other things like meditation and stuff like that. But for now, I think it's such an underrated and huge thing, and I still do it to this day, not just in academic classes, but even in fitness classes. I remember taking CrossFit for the first 2-3 years. I did the same thing. And I saw all these other people, they weren't really listening to the teacher when something really important like a certain form or technique was mentioned. And I would drill in on that because I saw that in the others. And I also knew like for certain movements, like, okay, I can just tune out on these few things because they're kind of accessory or not as common movements like an overhead squat. But for the fundamental things that I'm constantly going to be seeing throughout on a frequent basis, like the clean and jerk or the snatch or just the deadlift, I drilled into every little tiny little thing on the form and technique. And by doing that, I personally believe that I progressed a little bit faster every week than the others because I got that form down. And now I can just tell immediately if someone's good or bad at CrossFit or Olympic weightlifting by their form in like a couple movements. And I think I've gotten fairly good as well and faster. And some others are lagging behind a little bit without realizing it. And that's just my personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm biased. But you can apply this to, as you can see, many other areas of life. So hopefully that helps. See you in the next video. Subscribe. And thanks for watching. I appreciate you.